Hello, Arlington students and families. My name is Lauren Mosley, and I'm a reading specialist from Dr. Charles R. Drew Elementary School. And today we're going to be working on phonemic awareness. Phonemic awareness is a very important early reading skill that can be practiced at almost any grade level. It's very important because it helps students to hear the sounds and syllables in words. This helps us to become better readers and spellers. So today you're not going to need anything with you except for your ears to listen to me, your hands to repeat the motions that I do, and you're going to have to speak and speak up so I can hear you. So I will do the example first, and then I'll have you join in with me. So we're going to be adding, deleting, and substituting sounds today. So let me show you how we do our first one. So I would say to you this silly sounding word. Some of these are going to sound a little bit like nonsense words, and some of them will sound like real words. So it might sound a little silly. So we're going to start with adding a syllable. And it's going to sound something like this. I would say eeple. You would say eeple. And then I say put a p in front, and you would say people. If you said people, you were correct. So we had eeple, we put a p in front, and it became people. Now let's have you give it a try with me. Unday.
Unday.
Put a s in front, and you have
Sunday.
Good. Able.
Able.
Put a t in front, and you have
Table.
Good. Ever.
Ever.
Put a n in front, and you have
Never.
Good. Ounces.
Ounces.
Put a b in front, and you have
Ounces.
Good job. Ister.
Ister.
Put an in front, and you have
Mister.
Ether.
Ether.
Put a f in front, and you have
Feather.
Good. These next few are a little tricky, but I know you can do it. Plain.
Plain.
Put an X in front, and you have
Explain.
Good job. Cover.
Cover.
Put a dis in front, and you have
Discover.
Let's try this. Pewter.
Pewter.
Put a com in front, and you have
Computer.
Last one. Order.
Order.
Put a pre in front, and you have
Pre-order.
Good job. Now we're going to try deleting phonemes. It's going to sound something like this. I would say person, then you would say person, and I would say take off the p, and we have, you would say erson. All right, now go ahead, let's try it with me. Favor.
Favor.
Take off the f, and you have
Aver.
Good. Weather.
Weather.
Take off the w, and you have
Ether.
Good. Maple.
Maple.
Take off the and you have
April.
Good. Dinner.
Dinner.
Take off the d, and you have
Inner.
Fairies.
Fairies.
Take off the f, and you have
Aries.
Good. Unable.
Unable.
Take off the and you have
Able.
Good. That one's a little harder. Population.
Population.
Take off the pop, and you have
Lation.
Good. Eulation. Good job. Survival.
Survival.
Take off the sir, and you have
Vival.
Good work. Cylinder.
Cylinder.
Take off the sill, and you have
Illander.
Good. Exchange.
Exchange.
Take off the X, and you have
Ange.
Close.
Change.
Exchange.
Exchange.
Take off the X, and you have
Change.
Good job. For our last skill, we're going to be substituting. So listen closely while I show you the example first. The first word I'm going to try with you is handle. You would say handle. And I would say change the h to k. And you have candle. If you have said candle, you were correct. All right, now go ahead, give it a try with me. Pillow.
Pillow.
Change the p to W, and you have
Willow.
good. Baby,
Baby.
change the B to and you have
Maybe.
good. Cousin,
Cousin.
change the K to D, and you have
Dozen.
dozen. Good. Coding,
Coding.
change the K to L, and you have
Loading.
good work. Rolling,
Rolling.
change the R to B, and you have
Bowling.
last one. Pickle,
Pickle.
change the P to N, and you have
Nickel.
good work listening to sounds with me today and practicing phonemic awareness. I look forward to seeing you next week. Bye.
Hello, I'm Amanda Dempsey. I'm the resource teacher for the gifted at Hoffman Boston Elementary School. Thank you for tuning in today. Our lesson starts long ago, far from our new world. A great civilization lived and died. Throughout the ancient world, they built roads and made laws and wrote literature. Today, most of their buildings have crumbled to ruins, but echoes of their words still reverberate because the English language and others, such as Spanish, are filled with fragments of their language, Latin. Only 500 years ago, astonished early explorers discovered a new world. Since then, the United States has conceived a new English, which is a combination of many languages, including Roman Latin, Ancient Greek, and Spanish. The English language has many Latin fragments hidden in it. We sometimes call these fragments or pieces prefixes, suffixes, affixes, or roots. But to make this simpler, we will call them stems. Each time you learn one important stem, you've learned part of a dozen of English words. So learning Latin stems is power learning because you only have to study one small thing in order to learn dozens of things. In each lesson, we'll learn 5 stems. This week's stems include by, de, sub, pre, and super. We'll begin with by. It means to. Some examples you've probably seen before include bicycle. Bicycle has 2 wheels. Another example is biped. If you have 2 feet, you are a biped. Our next stem is sub, which means under. An example is a submarine. It travels underwater. A subway is an underground train. The next stem is D, which means down. An example might be descend, like this airplane is descending. Another example is deposit. I may put a deposit or money down if I buy a new car. The next is pre, which means before. You might see previews when you go to see a movie. You may also attend preschool. It's like school before it all officially starts in kindergarten. The last stem is super, which means over or above, like a superstar. They're famous and known above everyone else. Or superb. You did a great job. You went above and beyond. Can you think of more words with these stems? Some examples might include superior, bilingual, subtract, decrease, or even predict. Now, to practice our stems a bit more, we're going to do some analogies. An analogy is a set of words in which the relationships and pairs of things resemble each other. For example, a lighthouse is tall as a mountain is high. In each case, the adjective describes the height of the noun. Now if we look at this set, descend is to ascend. Well, D we know means to go down, so descend goes down, ascend goes up. They're opposites. So looking at our 4 choices, can you find the set that would complete this analogy? We need a set that shows opposites. You're right. Submerge is opposite of emerge, so B is the correct choice. Now we're going to look at an advanced word using our stem super. We know super means over. Flew means flowing. So our word superfluous literally means overflowing. That also means lots and lots. Here's some examples. I see a superfluous amount of trash, a superfluous amount of coins, and a superfluous amount of books. What might be something that you have a superfluous amount of? How might you use this in a sentence? Now we're going to practice all of our stems. You're going to match the cards. So each card has a picture as well as a stem. Can you match the stem to its coordinating picture? I see bi matches with bilingual. Super goes with a superfluous amount of books. Pre goes with the movie preview. Sub matches with the subway. And then that leaves me with D, with the hot air balloon that's deflated. How did you do with those? So your mission this week, you are going to be a STEM detective. That means that as you're reading this week, you're going to search for examples of our 5 stems. When you find them, share these stems with your family. Show them the words and tell them what they mean. Next lesson, we'll look at 5 more stems. See you next time. Bye.
Hi, my name is Lizzie Mejia. I'm one of the instructional coaches from Barcroft Elementary, and today's reading lesson is going to focus on the strategy clue in to topic sentences. Think back to the mystery unit we studied in 3rd grade. We read several different mysteries and learned how to identify clues within the mystery. We also learned that we needed to pay attention to clues that helped us, and we had to ignore clues that led us off track. Readers of nonfiction do similar work. They have to learn which sentences to pay attention to. Readers of nonfiction know that they need to pay attention to sentences that help them clue in to the main idea. There's a sentence that's hidden in most sections of nonfiction books and articles, and this sentence tells us straight out what the main idea of that section is. This sentence is called a topic sentence. Here's the thing about topic sentences, though. They actually tell us more than just the topic. Topic sentences also give us an idea about the topic, so they help us to find the main idea. Topic sentences can be found in different places within sections. A lot of time, the first section gives you the topic sentence, but topic sentences also can be the last sentence of a section, or they even could be a sentence that's in the middle of that section. Readers go through a couple steps to clue into topic sentences. After they read an article, the first thing they do is to go to a section and find a sentence that they think sums up the whole section. The next step is to check to see if other facts and details support that sentence, support the idea you've just pulled out. If the facts and details go with that sentence, then you've found the main idea. But if you realize that the facts and details don't really go with that sentence, then you need to try a different sentence and repeat the steps because you have not yet found the main idea. So let's try out this strategy together. We are going to use the article Islands Born of Fire. This article comes from the October 2019 edition of the National Geographic Explorer magazine. Remember that sometimes readers find the topic sentence at the beginning of a section. We are going to see what that looks like here. No two alike. While they are all volcanic, each island is unique. Espanola has soft white sand. Floriana has sand like brown sugar. Look closely and you'll see tiny green shards of the precious gem peridot. Genovesa's beaches look very different from these. They are made up of razor-sharp rocks. So remember that we think that this first sentence gives us our topic sentence. We are going to pull that out and put it in our box. Next, we want to see if the facts in this section go with that idea. Let's check it out. One fact is that Espanola has soft white sand. Another fact is that Floriana has sand like brown sugar. Our third idea is that Genovesa's beaches are made up of razor-sharp rocks. When I look over these details that I've pulled out, I realize that they do go with this idea that all the volcanic islands are unique. Now let's take a look at an example where the topic sentence comes at the end of a section. From the depths. The Galapagos Islands sit on top of one of the Earth's most active volcanic regions. The islands lie on the Nazca Tectonic Plate, which is touched by 4 other plates. This place rests above a hotspot in the Earth's crust. Here, a column of hot magma rises. When it reaches the surface, lava spews out and piles up. Eventually, a volcano forms. This is how the first Galapagos island, Espanola, formed more than 3 million years ago. So this last sentence is going to give me my topic sentence. So I'm going to pull that out. Now as I read back through the section, I want to make sure that the facts and details that I find go with this sentence, because that's going to prove to me that I've found the right sentence for the topic sentence, that it gives me the main idea of the section. The first fact that I'm going to pull out is hot magma rises. Next, I'm going to pull out how lava comes out and piles up. Lastly, I'm going to pull out the detail of a volcano forms. I want to look back over these facts and details to make sure that they indeed go with this topic sentence I've selected. As I look over them, hot magma rises, lava comes out and piles up, a volcano forms. I see that these 3 details indeed go with that sentence. They tell me how the first Galapagos island, Espanola, formed more than 3 million years ago. So I know that I've selected the right sentence as my topic sentence. Finally, we remember that readers can find a topic sentence in the middle of a section. Let's check out what this example looks like. On the move. Volcanic activity explains how one island formed, but how are the other islands formed? Tectonic plates move. The Nazca Plate moves toward the South American Plate at around 7 centimeters, 2.7 inches, per year. The hotspot does not move. Over time, Espanola was carried southeastward along with the Nazca Plate. Then a new island, San Cristobal, formed on the hotspot. The island's layout reflects the speed and the direction of the moving plate. So I think that this sentence, tectonic plates move, gives me my topic sentence. Like we did before, we're going to pull that topic sentence out, and then we're going to check the details and the facts within this section to see if I have indeed found the topic sentence. I see that Nazca plates move, but the hotspot does not move. I also notice that the section tells me that the Nazca Plate carried Espanola to a new place. And finally, I found out that the new island, San Cristobal, was formed on the hotspot. These things show me that islands can also form when tectonic plates move. So now that you've seen how we can clue into topic sentences to find the main idea of an article, you are going to give it a shot. It's your turn. You're going to use the article to catch a thief from the January-February 2020 edition of the National Geographic Explorer magazine. You will notice that there are 2 QR codes on the right side of the screen. You're going to use the camera on your iPad to scan the QR codes, one at a time, and they're going to give you access to the materials you'll need to complete the work. The first QR code under Explorer magazine will bring you to the January-February 2020 edition. This is where you will find the article To Catch a Thief. The password to access the magazine is catch. You'll also notice a second QR code. This QR code will let you access the student activity. It is a Google Doc, and you will type your answers into the Google document. Make sure to pay attention to the page number references that are listed. When you are done with the work, you want to make sure to do your reflection. You'll find a family member and share the article To Catch a Thief from that January-February 2020 edition. You'll choose one of the sections you focused on in the article, either the section Struggle for Survival or the section What Comes Next. You'll tell them how you use the strategy clue into topic sentences to find the main idea of that section. Good luck with your work.
Hi everyone, I'm Miss Pierce. I teach 5th grade at Drew, and I'm so excited to be here with you today. What we have on schedule is we are going to do a number sense routine called Which One Doesn't Belong, which I'm sure many of you are familiar with from your own classrooms. Then we're going to do an activity about patterns, our self-reflection, and your family tip for the week. Let's get started. So the first activity we're going to do today is a number sense routine, and it's something I'm sure a lot of you are very familiar with from working in your own classrooms, and it is a number sense routine called Which One Doesn't Belong. The way that this works, if you're not familiar with it, is that it's your job to figure out which value in one of the 4 boxes does not belong. However, there's not just one right answer. So you may see something that I don't see, or I may show you something that you didn't notice at first, and that's totally fine. We're just going to learn from each other. So one of the more obvious things that I first noticed when looking at these values is that 81 does not belong because it is the only odd number. And we know it's an odd number because it has 1 in the ones place, and all of the other values, 32, 64, and 144, all have an even number in the ones place. Another example is the number 32, and 32 does not belong because it is not a square number. The way to get a square number is when you multiply a factor by itself, for example, 8 times 8, and the answer or product is a square number. So 64 is square because you can multiply 8 by itself and get 64 as a product. 144 is square because you can multiply the factor 12 by itself and your product is 144. And 81 is square because you can multiply 9 by itself and get 81 as a product. Lastly, another example of a number that doesn't belong is 81, and that's because it is the only value out of the 4 present that does not have 8 as a factor. I hope that you came up with some great examples yourself of which of these values don't belong, and we're going to move on to our activity next. Is going to be about patterns. And patterns are ways that we can look at relationships between a lot of different things in math. And we are going to take a look at this short pattern today to get us started. As I'm looking at what we have available, we see 2, 4, 8, 16, and then we have 3 spaces to continue this pattern and insert the next terms here. The first thing that I would like to think about is this number pattern increasing or decreasing? Are the numbers getting larger as we move through the pattern, or are they getting smaller as we move through the pattern? Take a second to think about if you think that this pattern is increasing or decreasing. So I'm sure so many of you notice that this pattern is increasing. So I am going to shade in my increasing box, and we know that it's increasing because 4 is larger than 2, and 8 is larger than 4, and 16 is larger than 8. So as we're moving from term to term in this pattern, the numbers are getting larger. Now we're going to move into thinking about what's happening between each of these terms to cause this increase in numbers. And this is where we're going to start thinking about what operation is causing this. So because our pattern is increasing, we're most likely going to be using addition or multiplication, because in most cases, and not every case, but in most cases when we use this operation, the numbers are getting larger. So I'm going to take a closer look at the first term that I have here, which is 2. And I'm going to think about how it's related to my next term, which is 4. Now, I could add 2, and 2 plus 2 will get me 4, and that's great. But I also need to look at the relationship between 4 and 8. Is 4 plus 2 8? No. So although addition works for my first term to my second term, it doesn't work from 4 to 8, and it also doesn't work from 8 to 16, because 8 plus 2 is 10, not 16. So I'm going to actually cross out addition, and I'm going to cross out subtraction and division as well, because we know that our numbers are increasing and it wasn't due to addition. So what I have left as an operation that could be causing this pattern is multiplication, and let's take a look and see if that works. Again, I'm going to start with the first term, which is 2, and I'm going to think, is there anything I can multiply 2 by to get to 4? And yeah, it's 2. 2 times 2 will get me 4, and I'm going to move to my next term, which is 4, and multiply it by 2 to see if I get 8, which I do. Lastly, I'm going to check 8 times 2, and that does give me 16. So to find the next terms, what I'm going to do is multiply by 2. So now that I know my rule of the pattern, or the way that I'm going to continue to find the next terms, I'm going to fill in the next terms that are here at the top. So I'm going to multiply 16 by 2, and I am going to get 32. And then I'm going to do the same thing, follow that same rule. 32 times 2 is 64, and 64 times 2 is 128. So we determined that in order to find the next terms in this pattern, you're going to multiply by 2, which we proved here. And if we wanted to keep continuing the pattern, we would just multiply the previous term by 2. So this is another example of patterns, and I'm going to take a look at these numbers. And my first term is 32, and my last term that I see here so far is 24. So I definitely can tell that this pattern is decreasing. And typically when numbers are decreasing, the operations that we may be using are subtraction or division. And again, this is not every single case, but for looking at patterns, we're going to think about that today. So I'm going to cross out multiplication and addition for now. And I'm going to turn my focus to maybe division or subtraction for what's happening in this pattern. Now, again, in the beginning of this pattern, I'm going to start with my first term, which is 32, and I'm going to look at the next term, which is 30. And I'm just going to think out loud, is there any way that I can go from 32 to 30? And the first thing that comes to my mind is obviously subtracting by 2. So I'm going to check that out for the consecutive terms just to make sure that that rule actually works. 32 minus 2 is 30. 30 minus 2 is 28. That works. 28 minus 2 is 26. And 26 minus 2 is 24. So this actually checks out, and I use subtraction to solve this pattern. Did not use division. And now what my job is to figure out what these next 3 consecutive terms will be using the same rule, which is subtract 2. So lastly, to find the next 3 terms in this pattern, I'm just going to subtract 2 from the previous term. So 24 minus 2 is 22, and 22 minus 2 is 20, and 20 minus 2 is 18. So as you can see, between each term, I did the same thing, and subtracted 2. If you wanted to continue this pattern, you could continue subtracting 2 and it would still make sense. The last part of this activity is where you really get to try one out mostly on your own. So taking a look at this pattern, you can see that it is decimals now, and you're starting in the first term with 1500ths. And by the last term that's visible, you see that you have 7500ths. So you first want to think about, is this pattern increasing or decreasing? And I think that most of you would have noticed that because we're starting at 1500ths and at the end of the pattern, you're at 7500ths, that it is definitely increasing. And typically when values are increasing, you're either using addition or multiplication. So we're going to cross out division and subtraction here and turn our focus to either figuring out if this pattern is increasing because of multiplication or because of addition. So as you can see, we are adding, we are not multiplying in this pattern to get to the next term. And in this pattern, we're adding by 20 hundredths or 2/10. Remember, they're the same. So between each term, we are adding 2/10 or 20 hundredths. So to find the next 3 terms, that's what you're going to do. So 75 hundredths plus 2/10 is going to give you 0 and 95 hundredths. Plus 2/10 is going to give you 1 and 15 hundredths, and plus another 2/10 is going to give you 1 and 35 hundredths. The last part of today's lesson is a reflection where you're able to create a pattern of your own. Feel free to use numbers, shapes, words, tables, and symbols, and you can share this with your family or friends and see if they can figure it out. Good luck!
Hi everyone, my name is Miss Davis and I am a school counselor. Together, we're going to learn and practice different skills to help you be the best learner you can be. Since it is the first week of summer school, we're going to talk about setting a goal and making a plan. Making a plan can help you be a better learner and reach your goals. Over the next few weeks, we're also going to talk about having a growth mindset to help us overcome challenges and learn as much as we can. Goals are what we see as possibilities in the future. We create goals so we have specific targets to work towards. Our brains are always growing and we're always learning new things, but sometimes we might choose 1 or 2 things we really want to improve. That is when we set a goal. Today we're going to talk about short-term goals. Short-term goals can be reached in a few days or a few weeks. Since we're going to focus on a goal for summer school, and summer school is 4 weeks long, we are going to work on a short-term goal. You can also make long-term goals that might be for an entire school year. By the end of this lesson, you'll be able to write one short-term goal that you'll complete in 4 weeks, break the goal into a 3-step plan, and use a checklist to evaluate your plan. Goals can be about anything. Personal goals are just about you. Maybe you're always misplacing your favorite shirt. You could set a goal to be more organized. Or maybe you want to learn a new skill. You could set a goal to learn how to bake cookies or shoot a basketball. Social goals involve other people like your friends. Maybe you just moved to a new place. You could set a goal to make some new friends. Today, we're going to write an academic goal. That means it will be focused on a school subject, like math or reading or science. This is one of my favorite quotes about goals. A goal without a plan is just a wish. It's so important to think seriously about how we will actually achieve our goals. What actions will we take? What will we do? What challenges might come up that make it difficult? Without a good plan, our goals become just wishes, a nice thought, but not reality. So you can evaluate your goal and your plan with the checklist for goal setting. Let's dig into each of these points to learn more about them. The first point is the goal can be measured. Goals that are specific and can be measured are more likely to be reached. Take a look at these two goals. I will improve my math skills, or I will get a B or higher on my next math quiz. Wanting to improve on your math skills is a positive goal, but it's not very specific, and it will be hard to say when that actually happens. Making a goal about getting a specific math score, now that's something that could definitely be measured. We're going to come back to this one because we're going to look at a few plans and evaluate them later, but this is also important to make sure your plan matches the goal. These 2 points kind of go together. 3, there is enough time to do it, and 4, it's realistic, you can do it. So let's look at these 2 goals. I'm going to learn how to write, read, and speak Chinese by August 1st. So, do you think it's really possible that in 1 month you could learn an entirely new language, how to say it, speak it, read it, and write it? Probably not realistic, right? You could do that. It just might take a lot more time. So there's not enough time to do this. It's not realistic to do it in a month. Let's look at this other goal. I'm going to build a treehouse by my birthday on September 3rd. There is enough time to do it. That's a few months from now. I would say that's enough time to build a treehouse. It's realistic and you can do it. Can you build a treehouse totally by yourself? Probably not. You probably need help from an adult or a family member to buy the supplies, to actually maybe nail things together, saw the wood, have a design and a plan. So it's not realistic to say you could do this by yourself, but I would say there's enough time. See the difference? Let's take a look at a few goals and plans and use the checklist to evaluate them. This goal and plan have a few problems. See if you can find them as I read aloud. Goal: I will be better at math problems by the end of the summer. Plan: I will make flashcards for all the times tables. I will practice for 20 minutes each day. I will get my baby sister to test me on my math problems. Let's look at the checklist. The goal can be measured. The goal has that word better in it, which is a positive word, but how will we know when we're better at math problems? I think it will be really hard to measure that because we're not being very specific. Let's see. The plan matches the goal. Each part of that plan has to do with math, so I do think the plan matches the goal. There's enough time to do it. End of summer, that's a few months away. I think you could absolutely improve on your math in a few months if you're practicing every day. It's realistic. You're able to do it. Step 3 of the plan is not very realistic. Getting your baby sister to test you on the math problems might not be the best idea, especially if she's a really small baby and maybe she can't even talk or read yet. So it's not a totally realistic plan. All right, let's check out another one. Goal: I will read 200 pages of my choice book by 4 weeks from now. Plan: I will read 10 pages a day, 5 days a week. I will take my book to my grandparents' house on the weekends. I will catch up on the weekend if I'm falling behind so I can meet my goal. Okay, let's look at that checklist. The goal can be measured. This goal is very specific. We want to read 200 pages in 4 weeks. Either we do it or we don't. It can definitely be measured. The plan matches the goal. Each part of that plan has to do with reading, so it definitely matches the goal. There's enough time to do it. This is kind of a personal opinion. But let's see, 10 pages a day, 5 days a week. Let's do a little math here. 10 times 5 is 50, and 50 pages each week for 4 weeks. 50 times 4, that's 200. So I think there is enough time to reach this goal. It's realistic, you're able to do it. One thing I like about this goal and the plan is that the plan has steps in it to help the person catch up if they're falling behind. So reading on the weekend and making sure they have their book at their grandparents' house on the weekend, I think it makes it much more likely they're going to reach this goal. I would say this is a good plan. Now I'm going to see if you can come up with a plan for the goal. Goal, I will learn how to ride my bike before school starts in the fall. Take a minute and think of 3 different things that you could do to reach this goal. So just pretend that you don't know how to ride your bike if you already do. Think of a few things you could do to reach this goal. All right, let me show you the plan I came up with. I will ask my big sister to help me practice. I will watch videos about tips for not falling off my bike, and I will practice 3 times a week. Let's use that checklist to evaluate our plan and goal. Can the goal be measured? Learning how to ride your bike, that's pretty clear. The plan matches the goal. Each of my steps definitely has to do with riding a bike. Do yours? There's enough time to do it. I would say a few months is enough time to learn how to ride a bike, especially if you're practicing a few times a week. And it's realistic. You're able to do it. You can practice riding your bike by yourself. Hopefully your big sister is around and willing to help. And I'm sure you could watch some videos to make sure you are learning tips about not falling off the bike. All right, now it's your turn. I want you to write 1 short-term goal that you can meet by the end of summer school. Make sure you write a plan that will help you reach your goal. It could be more than just 3 steps. And use the checklist to see if your plan works. Then I want you to share your goal with a family member and your teacher during your check-in this week. Have fun goal setting. See you on Wednesday.